Sometimes in video game world, you got to play experience so different that it makes its own subgenre. It was not the case at all when it comes to the first Hellblade game, namely Senua's Sacrifice. Don't get me wrong, it was a game that was very innovative in some regards. It combined visual puzzles with cinematic, almost cutie combat and heavy storytelling from one point of view, even if it seemed like there were several characters telling the story. The whole shtick was that our female protagonist, Senua, was having a psychotic breakdown, while at the same time she was on the journey of her life. She is driven by both love and hate, to rescue and to bury figures from her past, to find resolutions and to defy the gods of myths. It was quite a journey that I enjoyed greatly. After several years, we got a sequel to the many fans content, but is it any good? Let's find out together. Telling you about the story in the sequel, I'm not gonna rehash all of what happened in the first game, nor will I tell you about the history of cultural background of Norse, Celts and Picts. That is for you to learn about if you want to. So the game starts with our hero being held on Slaver's ship during the storm, and as always in those kind of scenarios, the nature herself destroys vessel to twist the plot in foreseeable way. Senua needs to overcome the challenges of surviving in the place she found herself in. It is not long before she challenges new enemies, but something is different this time around. In the first game, she was all alone during her journey, and now she meets new allies very quickly. She is not a single soul with voices of psychotic furies in her head, alongside the dead father that tries to bring her down, even though his corpse is long, cold and lifeless. Now she needs to worry not only about herself, but for others as well. Two games of the series feel totally different in atmosphere. The sequel shortchanges its strongest point and original take on troubled hero journey for something that is well played out in so many stories already. I personally think it was a big mistake in the decision-making process in concept phase of the development. Another thing is that the core of the tale is much different. This time around, the leading motive is meaning of names, the power they hold and how can they change reality. The problem with that is that it changes absolutely nothing. The whole story is a mishmash of different concepts pulled and pushed together, with no deeper consideration if it works well together. Sometimes it does, but more often it doesn't. To top all of that, very ambiguous ending leaves us guessing what will be Senua's life after all the events in the game. I personally think the game was cut short, cause we do not have any idea what happened with her companions at all. It feels rushed and not well thought through. Okay, enough about the story. It is simply not very good. Gameplay, however, on the other hand... No, wait. Gameplay is also a downgrade compared to the first game. Puzzles and combat which are the only gameplay parts, besides of watching and listening to the game. It is all simplified for no reason. The only thing that comes to mind is that developers wanted to make the whole experience more cinematic. Bloody hell. The only good thing here is that you don't need any logic to solve, well, logic puzzles. You can rely on your instinct and go through all of it with no overheating of your brain. Okay, so there is nothing else to talk about when it comes to gameplay. It is, as well, not very good. We are left with the technical side of the game to talk about. Graphics are very good, but at a heavy price of not so great performance. Finally we got an Unreal Engine 5 game that looks almost as good as those tech demos we've seen. Still, forcing widescreen aspect ratio and letterboxing on us 16:9 mere mortals was stupid as hell. Also no option to turn off awful screen effects like chromatic aberration, film grain, motion blur and depth of field. I think it's all hubris on part of the development team. While it is well known that many players cannot stand effects like that and would like an option to turn them off, but there is none, except for file editing. And what about audio side of the game, you might ask? While using headphones, the sounds are placed perfectly, so you can almost feel like you're going insane yourself. But music when compared to the first game is really not that good. I listened to both soundtracks while writing this review, so I am sure the first game had it right, and second one not so much. That's why you can hear music from Senua's Sacrifice in the background, and not the one from newer Senua's Saga, bloody Hellblade II. And lastly, I do not think I encountered any major bugs. Maybe there are some, but the game is so short that one could be just lucky enough to avoid any game-breaking one, by sheer chance. This must be shortest and most disappointing review I have ever written. I really liked and enjoyed the first title in the series, and to think I was looking forward to play the sequel. I don't know how the developers from Ninja Theory game studio could get it so right in the first game and blow it all up in the second one. It is simply beyond my comprehension. It is really hard to talk about this game. I can only recommend it to fans of very cinematic games with some simple logic puzzles and somewhat cutie fights with great choreography of combat. Other than that, it is a disappointment. I hope to never see such a disaster of a sequel ever again. But this is only wishful thinking, cause we all know we're gonna get more of them sooner or later. With that pessimistic of an ending, I will leave you until next Great Late Review.